Firstly, in the mobility part, because that was a phenomenon I had never come across in a very specific way with people in the age of, between the ages of adolescence or early childhood.
Especially the International Mindedness Introductory course, which I found fascinating because it fitted well within my sociology classes and all of the cultural issues that we discussed.
The part that impacted me the most was when I was working in the Standard 4, especially when I was working on the case study. As you know, students experience transition in very different ways. It varies from one student to another. And for some, leaving the country, their school, their friends, relatives behind is easy. They just pack and move, and that's it. It's done. But for others, leaving those things behind is very stressful, and they experience in many different ways.
For me personally, it was actually when I heard Mary Langford talking about the whole process of transitioning to another country. I recognized a lot of things in myself, for my children, and for the students in my class.
Maybe one of the more significant things that I took away from the program was something that was said early on, I think in the induction week, talking about every teacher in a school is an EAL teacher. And I think that has really impacted how I approach my classes now.
While I was planning the unit, I did a unit with developing peace in grade 2 students. And while I was planning it, I was thinking that I was going too far for what I was expecting from these little kids. But then when I delivered the program, it was really impactful the way the kids were able to understand the concepts I was saying, and not only to understand it, but to enjoy the unit.
I must say the Standard 4 on transition was actually another important part, which I found really interesting and really fruitful. It gave me a lot of insights into my own practice and the view that I had of newly arrived students, which switched from just having a new kid in class to the idea of I have a student who is transiting and who needs a certain guidance and certain specific support in different areas.
There was this very unexpected display of background knowledge when I was preparing or teaching, rather, my unit for Standard 2, teaching competencies. The kids knew so much about world hunger, which was the global issue I was trying to address with them, to approach, that I was awed at the beginning. And then I had to put into play a lot of teaching skills to get them to learn new things, given that they already mastered a lot of this problem.
That was another thing why I liked so much the ITC. While I was reading the articles and doing research, I was actually reading about my own children, and they come with me to school every morning, so I had very, very interesting discussions in the morning with them. I would ask the questions I would ask my students sometimes. I would ask my own daughters first, although they are much older, but it was interesting to have sometimes even some emotional reactions on questions like, well, where are you actually from? Or we went back to France actually, and that's their home country, but they didn't feel home at all. And it was, that was difficult actually for the oldest one, who is now 14, 15. Difficult to accept. Okay, well, I'm actually not so French then.
When I started working on the case study, the two students I select, one seems to be well adapted, and the other one seems not to adapt very well to school. And in the many interviews I had with them, well, they changed. They went back and forth. They have problems. It was very, 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 very rich, very interesting, the way they they experience it, and yeah, it was very good. For me, it was the most interesting part. It really impacted me, and I think when a teacher like us working in an international context get to know the students well, if you go deep on that process, it helps you a lot, you know. Having a very close relationship, well, I mean professionally close, it allows you to know what they think, what the problems are, and with that knowledge in your hands, you can help them better, you know. And that's why I think the Standard 4 was the standard that impacted me the most.
Standard 2 and Standard 4, very impactful. And, you know, also with the extracurricular, I have to say, because with our end-of-year tours that we always did before, but we tended to go away for 3 days on a little bit of a holiday, have some interaction with a Cuban school, which tended to be a competitive game or drawing a picture together, and that was it. I see now we're trying to get more involved with the community, like the grade 6 trip that they go out, and I believe they work within an organic farm, and there's just much more interaction with the community. So also Standard 1, I think I have seen lots of institutional change because of.
Definitely. I think the program is very beneficial for the teachers, for new teachers and experienced teachers as well. But it also has a good scope to do further, let's say, further research in different fields, either fields that could branch out from specific modules or a combination of different modules. I see opportunities to do further research in linguistics, in international education in general, in you know, cultural issues. So it's a very enriching program that opens up a lot of opportunities. So that'll be a definite yes, go for it.
From my point of view, every single teacher working in an international context should take this program, this course, because it really helps. I would recommend to every one of my friends and those who are not my friends but are teaching in an international context to take this course because it's very useful.
Absolutely. Even for schools, not only international schools, but schools in national programs. Because of the humanistic approach, because of the inclusion, the idea of inclusion, respect, the idea of solidarity, and the kinds of values that it promotes in individuals, absolutely, the ITC is the best.
Definitely, definitely. For me, it was an answer on my wish. Before coming to Cuba, you were the first one telling me about this, and I was reading about it. I said to my husband, this is actually what I've been waiting for. I've been teaching for 15 years in different schools. I'm Dutch, but I don't have of course I have a teacher diploma, but is it international? No, it's Dutch. And every time you adapt your teaching to the school where you are, to the curriculum. And I found when I was reading about the ITC that this is maybe the answer to say, look, I'm going to apply for another job. I did the ITC. I know what it's about transitioning. I know how to deal with children that come in that don't speak English or that have several languages. And I think it's perfect.
Yeah, why not? If that impacted me so much. Personally, I think, and the school that I teach, I think it would be good for any school. Especially those that work with students in international settings.
I think it's really good for the students to have teachers that understand them. I think this program helps teachers to understand the kinds of problems our students have in our classrooms, the kinds of difficulties they have coming into, leaving our schools. It also makes us look at how do we go beyond the surface of acknowledging differences and multiculturalism? How do we go beyond those surfaces to try to find real connections with communities nationally, internationally? And yeah, I just think it's best for the students.